Hello, everybody, and welcome to the second installment of How to Get Shot and Love It. My name is Stephanie Richardson, and I am a professional photographer and a facilitator of access consciousness. So I agreed to put together this little series for people who need to be in front of the camera for their business, whether it's for videos or whether it's because you get your because you get your picture taken, and as part of your advertising or as part of invitation to classes, whatever that may be, or even I guess if you're into modeling or something like that and you want to have more presence with the people on the other side of the camera. So last week we started, and I'll just do a little bit of a recap. One of the things we talked about last week is what does it take to actually prepare for a photo shoot, and sort of like what is your responsibility when showing up to a photo shoot? How do you be prepared? And so be willing to use other people for makeup. Be willing to actually get other people to contribute to your wardrobe. Not that they should give you clothes, but basically if you don't feel comfortable dressing yourself for the camera, do enlist help. The cool thing is after you've done that for the first or the second photo shoot, you may find that either you love having someone do that for you, a stylist or a friend who's amazing at putting fashion together and creating something really dynamic for you, or you may find out that you love doing it yourself and you start to get the hang of what looks good on camera. But either way, being willing to actually reach out to other people for that help. Same goes for makeup. If you don't feel comfortable applying it yourself, then you want to be able to reach out to people to have that part of the photo shoot taken care of for you. Or just ask your photographer in advance if you are using a professional photographer, hey, can we actually have somebody do makeup? Hey, can we actually have someone do hair? Can we actually have someone do my styling? And recognize that that does come with some additional costs. Would you be willing to invest in your photographs? So one of the things I was looking at before today was how often it's one of those things that we don't really want to pay money for, we don't really want to invest in. But the weird part is this is your calling card. This is one of the things that when people see you on camera, when they see your pictures, when they see your advertisements and you're a part of them, or when they see you on camera and you look good, you are confident, that kind of thing, is that an invitation to your business? So are you actually investing in photographs, or are you investing in the future of your company, the future of your business? Are you investing in that personal connection with the clients that you're inviting to come into your business? So you wouldn't show up to a networking event in your workout sweats and 2 days old makeup on your face. We don't do that, but sometimes we treat photographs that way, in part because we don't want to be in them. So the whole access consciousness facilitator part, I'm going to go ahead. Last time we didn't do a whole bunch of clearings, but this time I want to add a couple of things into this Google Hangout. So if you don't know anything about access consciousness and you're coming to this for the first time, we have this weird thing called the clearing statement. And it goes good, bad, right, wrong, POD, POC, all nine, boys, shorts, and beyonds. And when we use that, what it does is it goes to the place where you have any stuck energy around something, and it clears the energy at the place where that energy was created, where that stuck energy was created. What does that even mean? What am I talking about? How does that work to make your pictures better? Well, over the course of this Hangout, I'll be using that clearing statement when we come to places that get a little sticky. Now, it's easy to see that decisions can affect your future, but what leads to those decisions? A lot of times it's actually energetic information that you got at some point in time, right? Even when you were pre-verbal, even whenever you didn't understand the language that everyone was speaking around you still got energy. When you walk into a room even today, do you know when someone is upset before even anybody says anything. You open the door and you're like, oh, is it too late to turn around, right? You walk into the office and you're like, oh no, everything's weird. What is going on today? Those are energetic awarenesses. And a lot of times what happens is we make decisions based on energetic awarenesses, but because it was based on the energetic awareness, sometimes those beliefs, those decisions, those judgments, those get stuck. And then what we are is we're stuck with a decision that we don't even really, we're not even clear that we made. So what happens is we go in with the clearing statement, good, bad, right, wrong, pop, all nine, boys, shorts, and beyonds, and it basically goes right to that spot where you had the energetic awareness the moment before you made the decision, and it clears everything that energy was, and it clears the decision that you made and all the stuff that you've made based on that decision. Easy. Okay, so one of the things I want to look at is whatever decisions that you've made about being photographed, about being in front of a camera, about showing up as you in front of the camera, about what you look like in front of the camera. This time, last time I gave you a bunch of tips on how to show up, who to talk to whenever you wanted hair and makeup and that kind of thing. This time we're going to talk a little bit more about actually being in front of the camera, and let's see if we can get rid of some of the points of view. So what do we want to do when you're showing up in front of the camera? What are you there for? So if you're there for advertising shots, again, one of the things that we're doing is literally making eye contact with the people who are your future clients. When you're making eye contact with them, what kind of conversation do you want to be having with them? So when you are if you're at your photo shoot and what you find is you're concerned about what you look like, you wonder if you look awful, you wonder, you're not sure if you know how to stand, you're not sure what your face is doing, you're not sure all of that stuff. You keep imagining your 4th grade pictures, and that's the only thing you can think of is that time where your head was cocked to the side weird, you had braces, your hair was ugly, and everybody made fun of you for a year and a half or 2 years or all the rest of your high school. Excuse me, that kind of thing, right? So when that is what is flashing in your mind as your photographer is taking your pictures, what does that look like? That basically looks like if you were going to a party and you were standing in the corner wondering if you smelled bad and wondering if you just kind of needed to stay away from everybody, and so you're kind of standing there standoffish. Is that an invitation? Does anybody want to come and talk to you when you have that rolling around in your head? Oh my gosh, do I look terrible? Oh my gosh, do I smell funny? Oh my gosh, right? No, it's not actually an invitation. The weird thing is that whole energetic thing we were talking about where people pick up on energies of other people, that doesn't just happen in person. That also happens in our photographs. You've seen photographs before where it was like such an invitation. It felt like the person, you looked at the picture and it made you smile. And you've looked at other pictures where it's like, oh yeah, next, right? So what kind of energy do you want to have when you are in front of the camera, when you're having your picture taken? You want to have the kind of energy that's actually the invitation to the people that you are trying to invite, once again, into your business. So what kind of energy would that be? So again, imagine that you're a party. And I know a lot of us are introverts. The cool thing about being in front of the camera is you don't actually have to be with all of these people to be an invitation for them to your business. But I'm going to take you to a party in your imagination. So now we're at a party. Now, have you noticed people before that are actually an invitation, that when you walk into the room, you look around and at first you're sort of like, oh, I'm at a party. And next thing you see this person and you're like, oh, sigh of relief. This person looks easy to talk to. I don't know anybody here, but this person looks like somebody who I can talk to. And not just because they're holding the cat, right? There are some people that actually are that invitation. They're like, hi, how are you? I don't know you either, but there's plenty of room for you to come chat with us. And they're that space with you. They're that space of welcome. Hi, how are you? I see that you just walked in the door. I see that you may not know anybody. Would you like to come over here and talk with me? And what if you can be that kind of invitation? A lot of times if you're a public speaker, or if you are a coach, or if you are a psychologist or a psychiatrist, or if you're doing hypnosis, or if you're even a massage therapist, or any of those kinds of things, when people aren't familiar either with the kind of practice that you have, or they're not familiar with you, or why are they searching for you? Because they need something in their life to change and they're feeling really vulnerable or stuck or angsty. Do they need that person to be their ambassador? Hi, I know you're not comfortable here. I know you don't know what you're looking for. I know that you want something different and you don't know how to get there yet. And I know that this may be really uncomfortable for you. Can I make this easy for you? Can I make this easy and welcoming? Can I be a space for you that would allow you to actually just show up as you without any effort? You don't have to worry. When you're with me, don't worry, I got this. And it's this level of both confidence and also allowing them to show up and them to be them with you. Now, I get for some people this may not be relevant. You may have a different kind of business. You may want to show up with a different kind of energy. But, for a lot of us, it really is the invitation. Now, you don't have to do it like I did it, because that's more my invitation. Hi, welcome. I know you don't like being in photographs, right? I know you don't like this. I know you don't want to be here. I know the only reason you're watching this is because you don't like it, right? Or you don't feel comfortable in front of the camera, or there's all these reasons why you would show up and you would want to see this video. And what does it take to actually make you comfortable, right? So what if you can be that for your clients, the clients that you haven't even met yet? So the first thing that you want to do is actually just get comfortable with you. So when you're comfortable with you, that basically sends off, if you're at a party, again, sorry to keep taking it to the party, but if you're at the party, that person who seems calm, does that allow your body to be calm? Yeah, it does. That person that's yelling across the room, that's all hyped up, that person doesn't allow you to actually be calm and present. That person makes your body go, oh my gosh, that person's freaking out a little bit. And then the person who is comfortable in themselves and welcoming, that person allows you to sort of relax and go, oh wow, okay, it's possible for me to just be me at this party. I thought people were going to be putting on airs or judging or, all of that other kind of stuff. It turns out this person's just genuine and I can just be me. I can just be me here and just show up. So the first part of doing that is you might want to just feel your feet on the floor as you're standing there getting ready for your pictures. Stand there, feel your feet on the floor, feel your hips, maybe even adjust your weight back and forth. Now, why would you do that? You adjust your weight back and forth in part to make sure that there's no part of you that's tight and rigid. And when you move, it's very difficult to hold yourself tight and rigid if you're moving gently from side to side. And you don't want to do that all through your pictures. You don't want to look like a ticking clock. You just kind of want to be aware. Okay, well, when I move like this, are my knees locked? Oh, well, I can kind of relax those just a little bit. Oh, I can feel my feet on the floor. Oh, my hips. Okay. So I can wiggle those just a little bit. Sometimes I tell people to wiggle your butt. Just wiggle your butt, right? It's hard to have a stiff spine and stiff shoulders and a stiff neck if you're wiggling your whole spine, right? So if I'm wiggling my whole spine, and I'm totally willing to be silly, right? So it's like, okay, cool. No, this doesn't look cool. This isn't what I want to be doing in my pictures, but it does give me awareness of anywhere that I'm like this in front of the camera, okay? So feet on the floor, move just a little bit, breathe. When you breathe, first of all, it's really a good idea to breathe in order to live. But the other part is breathing also is part of that relaxation part. It's part of that being present. It's part of showing up. It's just breathing. It's letting all the ideas of stress sort of exit your body and allows you to get comfortable again. It also is a great reminder to recognize when you're holding your breath. When you're holding your breath, are you actually comfortable, or is something else going on? So you just want to stay present. All right, so now we've got our feet on the floor, we're breathing, we've wiggled around just a little bit, and now we're standing there present. The next piece, you may have seen this in one of my other videos, is that when you're looking, oh, I should have brought my camera. When you are looking at the camera, it can be daunting, especially if it's a professional that has, you know, this gigantic lens and they're pointing it right at you, right? A lot of times people basically jump out of their bodies to look to see what they look like from the other, you know, it's this whole like, if you've ever felt yourself not be present, if you've ever felt yourself try to look at yourself from the outside, I know that sounds weird, but it may actually sound a little familiar. You're like, oh, is that what I was doing? Like if you disappear, all of a sudden you're like, I don't know what I was doing. I wasn't looking at the camera for a second. I was somewhere else. A lot of times what we do is try and see what we look like. So we're like, oh, what do I look like from out there? So you want to come back and you want to be looking at the lens. What has made that a lot easier for me is that when you look at the lens, it literally, okay, so it's a circle like this. And if it's a big camera lens, it'll be about something like this. In the inside of it, there'll actually be another circle on the inside, maybe even a couple of other circles on the inside. Well, why am I telling you about that? Well, does it look like anything else you recognize as a circle with a circle inside of it? The camera lens actually works a lot like an eye does. It's got the retracting piece in the middle. They like, you know, it goes like this. And it has that on the inside of the camera too. It's just a series of irises and stuff that allow for a certain amount of light to come in. They do the exact same thing that eyes do. It's like, oh, it's dark in here. Okay, open up. Oh, it's light and bright in here. Close down. So when you look, it'll have some varying level of, you know, circle within a circle. And when you recognize that it looks a lot like an eyeball, you can begin to just make eye contact with it. So instead of looking at it and seeing this big piece of machinery and having no clue of what to do with it except for feel concerned, you can just make eye contact and say hi. Now you may not want to stare at the camera for the entire shoot, right? Some people have some really cool shots of looking off to the side or doing different things. That's cool. You can do all sorts of stuff, but when you're looking at the camera, that gives you a tool to actually connect with the people on the other side. Because when you're actually looking at the camera lens as you're looking at an eye, it gives the person on the other side that feeling of being made eye contact with. And when you're doing that and you're doing the piece of being an invitation to them, then it really does connect them in this really interesting way. They may even see you and feel like they already have a connection with you, which that takes a lot of work out of your hands when they've already sort of established this comfort with you that you didn't really have to work very hard for. That's awesome. Okay. So what other tools? So the other interesting part is, like I said, when you are in front of the camera and whatever you're being or you're doing in front of the camera, so it translates to that person. They'll actually receive that energy. So if you're sending off, what we were talking about with that was, if you're sending off that vibe of, I'm terribly uncomfortable, I wonder if I look stupid, I wonder, you give that whole feeling of like, oh, do I smell bad, right? Well, what other tools can we use to engage the people on the other side of the camera, engage them, and actually invite them? So the first part is to be comfortable in your own body, remember to breathe, and actually be present, right? There's that part. There's also a couple of other things. One of them is something called an energy pull. So what you can do is literally get the sense, like you don't know who these people are, but reach around the world and just get a sense, who am I talking to? Who's going to see this? Who would I like to invite? Who's looking for what I have? Who's asking questions about what I have to offer? And when you ask those questions and you just start to get a sense around the world, where are those people? What are they looking for? You can start to take the energy from all over the entire universe. You can just pull that energy through them, to you, or through them, through the camera, through you. And then you can also at the same time allow little trickles to go back out to them. Basically, these little energetic ant trails so that they can find you. And then imagine that when they see the picture, imagine that that energy equalizes so that they know that all that energy you were pulling through, you let a little bit out. And when they see you, allow them to receive the rest of that energy so that they know that they found what they're looking for. And then when you're not paying attention to it, it's just trickles again. Now, how do you do that? It's not rocket science. It really is just asking. It's being aware of all those people in the world, pulling energy through them. And all you have to do is ask, oh man, what would it be like if all the energy of the universe was flowing through them and flowing through me, if that was pulling energy through them? And then you can just ask, and what if I was pulling even more energy through them? What if I was pulling even more energy through them? What if I was pulling even more energy through them? So everybody watching this right now, what if I was pulling more and more and more and more energy through you? Do you feel less energized? Do you feel more energized? Do you just feel the same? So rock stars tend to be, or like really big rock stars tend to be, my dad's sending me messages. Really big rock stars tend to be very good at pulling energy. And one of the things that happens is as you pull energy through a crowd, you may think that you'd be pulling it from them and that they would get depleted. But the thing is when you pull energy through people, it actually energizes them. So pull more and 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 more, expand it out, pull more. And it actually creates more energy because there's a flow of energy. Our bodies actually really enjoy flows of energy. Is your breath stagnant or does it flow? It's an in and out. The energy of your body, and the blood in your body, does it stop or does it continually flow through your body? Those flows of energy are actually the healthy movement of energy, whether it's in the form of electricity through the body, or whether it's in the form of blood through the body, or whether it's in the form of air through the body. These things are all flowing. And so that flowing energy is the energy of life moving through a body. So anyway, so that energy pulse. So you can do that as you're standing in front of the camera. You imagine all of those people, pull energy through all of them while you're in front of the camera. And what that will do is that'll actually pull energy through the people who are looking for you, pull energy through the people who are looking at the picture, and it'll actually energize those people. I think we're actually getting, I don't know where those messages would be coming from, but it sounds like we might have people asking questions. So let me see real fast. If you are messaging me, you can also send messages to via Skype to Jumping Chihuahua, all one word, which is jumping, as in to jump up and down. Chihuahua, CHIHUAHUA. And if we're not friends on there, then you can put your question in the request box, like the friendship request box, so that I can get to that question faster. But let me see if I can find my questions. Oh, interesting. I didn't see that. Okay. So anything that doesn't allow for you to do that with total ease, anything that doesn't allow for you to pull energy or be aware of the people who are looking for you, or be aware of your clients, or be aware, will you destroy and create all that? This is that clean state thing. Good, bad, right, wrong, pop, all nine, boys, shorts, and beyonds. I like this. There's all sorts of stuff happening. Okay, and on Skype. Excellent. Okay, cool. So let's go over a couple of questions before we finish. I didn't realize how fast time was going to go by. One of the questions that we got for last week that we didn't get to last week was, I used to model as a kid, but being a male model wasn't really about me. I was just incredibly skinny and tall. So it was more that when I wore whatever I had to model, The attention was literally on the clothes and not myself, which was great for me. However, what I started to realize is that some people have great skill when it comes to having their photo taken. What tips or energy can we be to duplicate that and start making our photos more aligned with who we be? I noticed some friends who just look naturally great in photos, even unprepared or unexpected, and I'm so jealous of them and would love to be like that. So, any suggestions? So one of the things you can start to do, you could try and duplicate other people's capacities with being in front of the camera. And one of the things that I would start to do is actually pod and pock. So that was the clearing statement. We nickname it pod and pock. Pod and pock, all the things that don't allow you to show up. It's really interesting. Anyway, all the things that don't allow for you to show up on camera. As I'm looking at this is really interesting. So first of all the points of view that you have about how you show up when someone is taking your picture, will you destroy and uncreate all that? Cool. Times of God's Son, good, bad, right, wrong, pop, pop, on boy shorts and yawns. Go through the ages. So when was the first time that you had your photo taken? Now I'm going to get a little weird. You can go through all lifetimes, right? All right, when was the first time that you had your picture taken? Everything that is times of God's Son, good, bad, right, wrong, pop, pop, on boy shorts and yawns. Everything that meant about you, will you destroy and uncreate it all? Good, bad, right, wrong, pop, pop, on boy shorts and yawns. Everything, okay, now go through and energetically you just find another place that's like, and then there was that time I got my picture taken. So whether it was, so whether it was when you were a little kid and somebody made fun of you in a picture or something like that, you can destroy and uncreate all that. Times of God's Son, good, bad, right, wrong, pop, pop, on boy shorts and beyonds. And then you can come forward. Is there another time that you're aware of that really sticks with you? And that time, okay, good, bad, right, wrong, pop, pop, on boy shorts and beyonds. What we're looking at is everything that we decided in any of those moments, everything that was projected at us. So all the projections, all the rejections, all the expectations, all the separations, all the inventions, will you destroy and uncreate all that? Times of God's Son, good, bad, right, wrong, pop, pop, on boy shorts and beyonds. So when you're a little kid and you're a model, does anyone project anything at you? Yeah. And so everything that is times of God's Son, you destroy and uncreate it all. Good, bad, right, wrong, pop, pop, on boy shorts and beyonds. Now what you can do is, this particular person was asking about modeling as a kid, but you can look back and anything that sort of fits that for you. So it may not have been that you were on set and people were projecting stuff at you because you were a model particularly, but it could be that, you know, a family member had certain points of view about how they looked in front of the camera. You tried to understand it and then you took it on for them. And so everything that is times of God's Son, good, bad, right, wrong, pop, pop, on boy shorts and beyonds. There were also certain tribes and stuff like that that to them, if they showed up on, if somebody took their picture, it literally would steal their soul. So would you, if that was the case, if that was ever true for you, you know, would you be willing to show up in front of the camera as you, or would you immediately, I'm somebody else, right? So everything that is times of God's Son, good, bad, right, wrong, pop, pop, on boy shorts and beyonds. Some of these things are things that work better in an individual session if you have very specific things about being in front of the camera. But for the most part, you can clear a lot of stuff just as you're standing in front of the camera. And this you don't need a professional photographer for. You can play with this, taking selfies or having somebody else with their iPhone or having somebody with a camera stand in front of you and take pictures. Just be really aware, what is this energy? Okay, well, cool. Everything that's creating this energy and this discomfort, can I now destroy and uncreate it all? Good, bad, right, wrong, pop, pop, all nine, boy shorts and beyonds. Now, what would actually be a contribution to me, right? Me being here in front of the camera and being an invitation to clients that I would like to have, would that actually be a contribution to my life? Well, anything that doesn't allow for that, can I now destroy and uncreate it all? good, bad, right, wrong, pop, pop, online, boy, shorts, and beyond. So some of it is just about being willing to actually have that change, which is kind of weird, right? Sometimes it's, sometimes we have fun with the limitations that we have. Oh, I don't like being in front of the camera, you know. So, hello, love. If you have any questions, I don't know if I can hear you or not. Can I hear you?
Me?
I can hear you.
I don't know, I got this call and then I clicked on it and then I could see you, so.
Oh, that's hilarious. So we're doing the second Google Hangout, which I have all I could hear, kept hearing was blink, blink, blink. But we're doing the second Google Hangout for how to get shot and love it for facilitators and stuff. So if you have any questions about being in front of the camera, it's kind of nice to have a person live.
Cool. I do actually have a question right now.
Yeah.
How, I'm okay once I get in front of the camera. It's like, what am I, it's that whole kind of emptiness before about I don't know what I'm going to say or what I'm going to,
Okay.
I would like to do some YouTube stuff, but I'm like, I don't know what I'm going to talk about, and not pre-preparing anything. I don't know. So I never actually get on camera.
Okay, that's awesome. Yeah, there actually were a number of people who had questions about how much do I have to prepare? How much do I need to know what I'm going to say in advance? What if I don't know what I'm going to say in advance? Can I make videos? All of that kind of stuff. And so the first thing that I would do is actually, do you know so one of the exercises we were doing about being in front of the camera, not just for videos but for photos, was actually being aware of all the people that are looking for you. So, Truth, are you aware of and some of these, because I know you, I know the question, but I know the answer, but I'm just asking. So, Truth, are you aware of the people who are looking for you and who desire what you have, even if you don't know them personally?
Now I am.
Yeah. So one of the things that you can do is you can actually reach out and use that same exercise of being aware of all the people that are looking for what you have, all the people who are desiring what you know. Because oftentimes there's so much that we know that we don't give ourselves credit, or we don't acknowledge that's what I was looking for. We don't acknowledge ourselves for actually having as much information as we do have. So one of the things that happens is when we show up in front of the camera, if you do that, you just drop your barriers and what it takes. We talked a little bit about it last week, but dropping your barriers, really just all it takes is asking. And then become aware of all those people that are looking for you. And then what is it that I have to say that these people can hear?
Cool. All right.
Yeah. And then anything that has it so that you have to get it right, or that it has to sound polished, or that it has to sound like some of these people that you see that have scripts, everything that in your head that's what you're looking to be, or that's what you're looking to create, would you be willing to destroy and uncreate all of that?
Yes.
Times a godzillion, good, bad, right, wrong, pop, pop, online, boy, shorts, and beyonds. That can get in the way of you actually sounding as fluent, proficient, and knowledgeable as you truly are, is those moments where we try and sound like someone else, or we try and put it in an order that somebody else would put it in, or we try to sound like somebody who has a script when...
It's really weird, because what's coming up for me is it's the videos where it seems like somebody's being really spontaneous rather than the script. It's what would it take to kind of have that energy of spontaneity, or maybe that's where I'm trying to duplicate others.
Okay, cool. So everywhere that you're trying to do that, to duplicate others, we're back to that duplicate conversation. So we were talking about it a little bit. I don't know if you were there, but so everywhere that you're trying to duplicate what someone else does in front of the camera, will you destroy and uncreate all that? Times a godzillion, good, bad, right, wrong, pop, pop, online, boy, shorts, Beyonce. It's a gift, talent, ability that we have. And would you just be willing to show up as you and see what happens? right? To be on the adventure of you showing up as you, to be on the adventure of inviting people into your world as it is. One of the things that people don't get to see a lot of is people don't get to see other people being just vulnerable and present and sharing what it is they know in the moment as they know it, as they're having their own aha moments, whatever that is. That's so often such an invitation where it's like, wow, I just had this moment where I got this. And that's so far from being scripted or so far from having all the right answers. It's sharing the journey along the way, and how many people are looking for, you know, that person that they feel like what they have is attainable, instead of so far outside their realm of accessibility that it just makes them feel worse. So I know that somebody had, Sophie Mahalko had a video up, and she was like, it was in the middle of the night, and she had her hair was all ruffled up, and she was having to be quiet because the kids were asleep, and the lighting was terrible. She was just lit by the computer. And the person saw that video, and they were like, that. I want what that person has, that they can get up in the middle of the night, they can have to whisper because nothing is perfect about what's going on. They can't sleep. You know, looks like a mess, and doesn't have makeup on, and nothing about what she's sharing is perfect, and she's still willing to show up anyway.
Yeah.
I want to show up anyway. I want to show up anyway, even though I don't have any of this down. I'm not perfect, but I want to stop not showing up because I have excuses. I just want to show up. You know, like how much of an invitation is that?
Yeah.
Me scratching my nose.
It's okay.
Yeah, no, I'm like, an example. All right.
Yeah.
You know, versus that feeling of whenever you see the people on the news or whatever, like there is no end to have a conversation with helmet hair. Do you know what I'm saying? I'm not saying you can't have like perfectly coiffed hair. I'm just saying like there are certain levels of invitation where we can just show up and be radically us with all of it, and have that be such a delightful invitation. And if that's not an invitation, the thing is how do you show up when you're facilitating classes? So if you're the kind of person who prepares a ton and makes lists of absolutely everything and only follows the manual exactly the way that it's written, and you never leave that platform, if that's true for you, then you might want to make videos that way. But if that's not how you show up when you facilitate, if that's not how you show up whenever you teach a class, or when you go do a speech, or when you're going to a networking meeting, then is it actually going to work for you to show up and have line by line for a video? So anyway, that felt like for somebody else.
I really just got that there was so many other flavors and possibilities about how you could be in front of the camera, and it's actually not being the same person all the time. It's because there's so many different sides to us, and it's kind of cool to listen to you, and I'm kind of getting that I don't have to show up the same way and for everyone all the time, that I can be all these different me's that I am.
That's cool. Yeah, so I love that point. When we try, okay, so imagine that we created this like perfect person to be in front of the camera. Do we have to judge ourselves when we do that in order to maintain that? Oh wait, hold on. Was I just that person? We had a conversation a long time ago in Access classes about persona or image, and so that trying to get that perfect head in a box for your videos or for your picture, is that creating an image and trying to live into that image, or does that give you the space to actually just show up as you and really invite people that way? And so if you want to create an image, you're more than welcome to, but I would look at the energy of each one of them and go, wow, okay, so if I created an image and I always had to show up in the same way for every video? First of all, would it maintain my interest enough for me to keep doing this? And for a lot of people, the answer is no. If I have to be only that one person, it's one of the, you see people go crazy all the time that are you know, stars that are expected to fit in one tiny box and just stay there. What happens? They actually
So
have a, yeah, do they have long careers and have a lot of fun, or do they go nuts? I mean, they go nuts because they're having to like constantly cut off pieces of themselves to only show up in this like tiny range of being that they've been prescribed. And so if, you know, are you going to keep that up for a long time? Is that going to be something that's actually sustainable for you? And those are questions really to ask you, and not just you, but people who are watching. That's a question to ask yourself. You know, what would, if I was actually creating a sustainable business, if I was actually showing up in a way that was sustainable for me, what would I choose here? Would it be creating this one look and this one image and this only giving myself this narrow range in which I can show up in so that I can, you know, perfect that? Or is it going to be more sustainable for me to actually show up as everything I am and just see what happens? You can always see what it creates in your business. Maybe it does create more for you to be an image. And then if that's true for you, is that sustainable for you? Do you want to do a business that requires that of you? And then see if maybe creating some videos that are on the fly, see what that creates for you. You can, that's the cool thing about social media now, is you can post so many things and get so much feedback pretty quickly. See what gets you the most feedback, the stuff that's actually perfected or the stuff that's you playing just to see what happens.
And I have this other thing about like the like always the positive, or because there's some days that I would like, I just like awful, I have an awful day, which is sharing that, well, it's talking about that as well.
Mm-hmm.
It's almost like the false positive or something, like is that image you're talking about, like the false positive, like
I have this so down that I only have good thoughts.
yeah.
I don't poop anymore, ever.
I kind of feel like I would have videos where I would just be like crying, like
Well, one of the things that we talked about last week is, would you be willing to show up on camera as anything and then choose later what you put up?
oh, okay, yes, that's easy.
Yeah. So you can make everything. You can make the video where you've broken down and are crying and like think that the world's going to end. And you know, and it's like, cool, you have that. And what could you use that for? How could it actually work for your business? One of the tools that we can always use is, you know, make all the videos, play with it. And then before you post them, the thing that you want to do is ask, if I post this now, what will this create in my life? Or what will this create in my business? And you want to get a sense of that, and you get a sense of it in sort of a similar way that you get a sense of the people that you're aware of that are looking for you. That's just kind of what it is to get the sense, so you can play with that. Get a sense, what will it create? Does it lighten things up when you ask, or does it get weird and heavy and sort of contracted? Because if you have any judgments about putting it up or judgments of what that showing up in that way, is that actually going to create more for you, or will that create more judgment? So you just kind of want to look, okay, well, cool, if I post this, does it create? What does it create? If I don't post this, what does it create? And then be aware for every single one. Just because one crying post is heavy for you and it's not going to create more, you get the sense that it won't create more right now, doesn't mean that it's because it's a crying post. It may be timing that doesn't work, or it may be, you know, reaching an audience that doesn't work for you, or it could be that it needs to be remixed, where, you know, a year down the road you look back and you do this like collection of all these crying posts where you're like, just in case you thought that we're all perfect, you know, and then show this, and then it becomes this really funny thing of like, yeah, change sometimes brings up stuff, and here's a year's worth of stuff for you to laugh with, you know, and I'm enjoying it now, like all of this is in the past. right? So it allows you to both share the like crazy and also share it in a way that may create more for you, right? So just being aware, like, how can I use this to my advantage?
Thank you,
um,
Steph.
oh yeah, my pleasure. So that, I think that we addressed a lot on the do I need to, how much do I need to prepare? If you're totally uncomfortable in front of the camera and all you can do is judge everything that comes out of your mouth, if you need to make a list for the first few videos that you make, or even the first year of videos that you make, if you need 3 little tips or pointers for so that you don't just get in front of the camera and go, you can do that. And then you can use both the idea of, oh, I do actually have 3 things that I would like to touch on in this video, and I don't have a specific way that I'm going to say them. I'm actually going to talk to the people that I'm aware of and see how the energy flows from one to the other. And you may find that you only get a chance to talk about 1, or you may find that you talk about 3 and you have so much more to say. And again, instead of editing on the front end, you can always edit on the back end, where if all of a sudden you find that you have a ton of stuff to say, but you were only planning on doing a 30-second video, you can always take 30 seconds out of that longer video, or finish that video that ends up being an hour long, and then make your little short clip after that. So all the plans that you have, would you be willing to follow the energy on what's actually happening in the moment, the energy that's available to you in that moment, the information that's available to you in that moment? Would you allow all of that to work for you? And everywhere you've already determined that it can't work for you, right? Like, all the people are like, no! First of all, good, bad, right, wrong, pabak, all 9 boys, shorts, and beyonds, everything that's holding that in place. Yeah. And then the other part is, you never have to show it to anybody. Again, you can always edit it later. And choice creates. So the more that you create, the more information that you'll actually have. The more that you create, the more stuff you put out in the world, the more you see what works, the more that you see what doesn't. So everywhere that you have to have it right before you even start, will you destroy and uncreate all that?
Yes.
So God's willing, good, bad, right, wrong, pop, all 9 boys, shorts, and beyonds. Cool. And again, I went over by 15 minutes because I was having so much fun. So we've got 1 more of these videos to come. So if you have more questions, I still have a few questions that I have not answered from the beginning of this call series, or this Hangout series. But if you have questions that you would like me to get to, please feel free to come on the next Google Hangout. I love having you live. And then, or send me your questions. You can send them to Jumping Chihuahua on Skype, which is JumpingChihuahua. And you can put your question in the there's a box that'll be like, hey, will you be my friend? You can put your question directly in that box. That way it'll get to me faster. Or
When
you can ask in the Q&A box on the other Google Plus announcement. So next week, it'll be next Tuesday, it'll be at 7:00 p.m. Eastern Time in the United States. If you go to my Google Plus, I am not sure how you find me on Google Plus. I think I'm just Stephanie Richardson on Google Plus. You can find me on there. You can also find these videos on my YouTube channel. So if you're watching one of these, there should be, depending on when you're watching, there's either 1 more of these videos or 2 more of these videos if you watch after next week. But anyway, next Tuesday, 7 p.m., be there, be square. Thanks for joining me. Mwah.